Hello, I have another true story here for you. It's called Ali's Story, a real-life account of his journey from Afghanistan. It's written by Glynne and Salvador Maldonado. Ali's Story, a real-life account of his journey from Afghanistan. My name is Ali. This is a story of my journey from Afghanistan. My family and I lived in Afghanistan. There were mountains and a lot of dust. Most people weren't rich. They didn't have houses. Instead, they lived in tents. There was always fighting going on. The war started to get worse. There were a lot of helicopters in the sky. Tanks bombed our town and other cities. Sometimes I would look around and see the fighting going on. It made me very scared, but also really sad. The war got so bad, my grandma decided that we should all pack our bags. We needed to go to a safer place in Europe. When we got to the airport, the officials let my grandma and me in, but they turned my mom and dad away. The officials said that my parents did not have passports. They had to go back home. Oh, look at the pain on their faces of having to leave. But the grandma has to get him out of there to keep him safe, and the mom and dad have to stay. How horrible. My grandma and I got on the plane. We thought my mom and dad were following behind us on another plane. When we arrived in the new country, we waited for the next plane. My parents weren't on it. My grandma and I were safe in this strange new country, but we didn't know what had happened to my mom and dad, and we felt alone and afraid. Sometimes I dreamed that my mom would pick me up from school and walk me home. Then I would wake up and my grandma would be there instead. Then I realized it was all a dream. It made me sad to think that my parents were back in Afghanistan with all the fighting and the war. I dreamed about them all the time. I cried every night. It felt like the bones in my body were broken. Sometimes I felt angry. Most of the time I felt really sad. I learned a lot of new things at school, but it was really frustrating that I couldn't speak English. The only word I knew was yes. Sometimes I got embarrassed when I didn't know the right word for something. In the beginning, I sat in a corner of the playground watching all the other kids play. Sometimes people would ask me to play with them. Soon I had a group of friends that I played soccer with at school. I really love drawing. Everyone is amazed by my pictures. Every day I draw a special picture to show people at school. Sometimes it's a picture of my whole family, just my mom and dad, me, or a superhero. I really like superheroes. 4.5 years passed. Then one day, we got a phone call. My cousin said that he had seen my dad praying in the mosque. Then he handed the phone to my mom and dad. I talked to them for the first time in years. It made me feel so happy. Imagine waiting for 4.5 years, not knowing whether or not your mom and dad were alive, if they were safe, what had happened. Imagine that feeling of finally being able to talk to them. My biggest wish is that my mom and dad will be able to come to this country. It feels like it will happen soon. I get upset when I think about them. I wish they could come right now. I can't wait for that day. So this story on the back, it says it's a true story about a real life 10-year-old refugee named Ali along with his grandmother. Ali flees his home country of Afghanistan to escape the world. And Ali's words tell his story of suffering as he is separated from his family, but they also tell a story of hope. So if you have to leave your country because of fighting and you have to escape for safety, you're considered a refugee. And that is what Ali and his grandmother became. And because his parents didn't have the right paperwork or passports to leave, they have been separated. But as of right now, they're both still safe. But imagine that feeling of being separated from your family. I know some of you can. I hope you enjoyed this story, Ali's story. Have a great day.